Welcome back to Crossworks Media. On this episode, we'll talk about the potential civil war and the ever-expanding differences between the opposing political parties and the beginning of balkanization in America. Lately in the news, there's been a lot of talk about if there's a potential second civil war and stuff. I believe there will be. I don't know if it'll be like a straight up, battle on battle like, the other civil war we had.
1860.
Yeah, exactly. But the way the U.S. is heading right now, it definitely seems like it. What's your thoughts? Do you think it's going to happen?
I don't really know. I'm not. You're a lot
Bigger, fatter.
No, not.
You're literally calling me fat.
No, you're a lot more well educated in this topic than I am, but that's why you were so much more excited for it. But I don't know. Right now we're in civil unrest right now because we have a certain amount of people dying every year due to political. What'd you say? Political topics.
Well, yeah, political violence.
Events, yeah.
Trying to change other people's opinions.
I don't know if it actually will completely devolve into a civil war. I could see it more being just a little pockets of fighting here and there. But the reason why it's going like this is because the left and the right have just split so much nowadays. The progressives are just insanely to the left that even the center is kind of towards the right. There was that meme that Elon Musk put on Twitter one day where they showed a guy it was like 2008 or something like that, and it showed like a guy on the right, a guy on the left, and then it said like me in the middle, and then it just showed like over time how far the left ran to the left, so that the center became more to the left, and that the center of like 2008 is now considerably moderately right.
Yeah, the left wing has gone so far left right now that it's kind of it's what's driving this country apart, really, is because the ideologies, the left and right, is going so far apart that it's going to like almost two extremes. Well, I'd say the left is a lot more extreme, where it's like, we want to kill babies all the way up to birth, if not after birth, where the right's like, no, we'd rather have no deaths. And honestly, I don't think there's going to be any compromising on that. So there's usually about 4 or 5 things that cause a civil war. Or can exacerbate the work up to it, to a civil war. It doesn't necessarily mean that there will be one, but it's usually the economy, cultural values, balkanization, which is when like a larger state fractures into smaller areas and turns into, how would you say it? Essentially, like imagine California. You have like they were trying a few years back to split into a new state.
Well, it's really just San Francisco, Los Angeles, and Sacramento, really. I mean, all the rest of the places are like farmers.
Yeah, so they were trying to split into a new state. So essentially it's like that. You have the rural Californians, which are not liberal at all. It's just those major cities that are. But yeah, that's essentially, imagine them splitting into a different state because of political reasons. So that's kind of like what balkanization is, and that's starting to happen right now. You have people moving out of those big cities, moving into states.
Texas, Florida,
South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, Tennessee. Well, Virginia's blue, but Tennessee's...
West Virginia.
Yeah, West Virginia. So you have that, balkanization, and then you have federal versus state powers. And then, like in their original Civil War, it was abortion, slavery, but now it's like abortion and LGBTQ rights, and not even rights necessarily. They're trying to trans the kids.
Problems.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess, let's start on the economy. Clayton, have you noticed, has the economy been harder, or has it been more difficult to live in this economy more than, let's say, 2 or 3 years ago?
I think it's kind of hard for us to answer that because, I mean, we're only 22 years old, so it's like it'd be better to ask like our parents or someone like that, because I mean they grew up and lived through that. I mean, obviously, during Trump we had like, what was it, like, I forgot what the average it was. It was like $2 something gas, and now we have.
Yeah.
I just filled up my truck, and it was $4.47, I believe. But places in California, there's this one, the highest place. It's like over $9. It is for gas right now. Like, how can you even imagine paying for that? All the groceries are going insane. There's food shortages, the baby formula. There's diesel shortages, so just wait until fall comes, because all this diesel and shortages and stuff means that truckers aren't going to be able to get stuff on the road. But the White House keeps saying that, oh, it's actually a lot better than people think. That Karine Jean-Pierre lady, the new press secretary, was talking to, I think it was Peter Doocy, and he was talking about he asked her about the economy, and she was like, actually, it's actually quite a lot. It's a good, what do they always say? It's a good opportunity to grow from this or something like that. They don't actually ever say the economy's bad because they don't want to take blame for it.
Yeah. So if you look at so for us, I'm married. I have a baby, a house. So I have a family to take care of. Clayton's single. So like I've definitely noticed more of a crunch. Groceries are through the roof. Like this is some statistics. So the average cost for a dozen eggs in April or March was $2.05. And the next month it went up to $2.52. And I don't even know what the average cost is around here. I'd have to ask my wife. But Michael Knowles on his show was saying it cost him $9 to get 18 eggs.
That's because he said his wife got more expensive eggs, though.
Right, but still, that's outrageous.
Yeah.
Like, so that's
50 cents an egg.
I know that's brutal. So what we're dealing with, I've definitely seen, is food prices through the roof. We've definitely skimped on, not necessarily skimped, but like we're definitely watching our groceries and stuff we need and versus stuff we don't need. And I'd say they've almost doubled in price since we got married 3 years ago, almost 3 years ago. And gas is outrageous. And I have in-laws that live in North Carolina, like 2.5 hours away. And like you can definitely tell on trips like that when we go up there that it's over double the cost. You know, at one point we were filling our car for $25, and now it's like $80 to fill the stupid thing. You know, that was back when gas was $1.30. Now gas is at what, $4.60 at the local gas station down the road.
Briar Patch?
No, QT.
Oh, is it QT? Okay.
It's $4.60 for regular.
I just filled up on that Exxon, and it was like $4.47.
Yeah. So
which to fill my truck, it was $125, and that didn't even get it all the way. It was like 7/8 of the way filled up, and $125.
Dude, it's outrageous. If you look, so I was walking through Lowe's the other day with my father-in-law in North Carolina, and we were looking at rigid foam, and it was $50 a sheet.
Rigid what?
Rigid foam, like that rigid foam they put under stuff.
Oh yeah,
it's like 4x8 sheets of 2-inch foam or whatever, 2.5 inch. I don't know how thick it is, but either way, the stuff was $25 a sheet 2 years ago. It's $50. That's 100% inflation rate, and obviously that has to do with supply and demand too. It's not just the price. Well, that's everything. Everything is going up because of that. So the economy, it's getting hard out there, and people have been starting to miss their subprime auto loans, you know, because they're like, are we going to eat or are we going to miss this car payment? So apparently people are predicting that the used car market, the whole car market's about to collapse almost like 2008 because people are spending money that they don't have or they did back, you know, a year ago. And now with prices going up, they're starting to miss their payments.
And the thing is that the politicians don't care. There's this lady who, she's a senator, Debbie Stabenow. She's a Democrat from Michigan. She was talking. She was in a Senate Finance Committee hearing, which featured testimony from the Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen. And she was talking about how she was making a trip through, was it Michigan or something like that?
Yeah.
In her Tesla. And she said, I just have to say, just on the issue of that at gas prices, after waiting a long time to have enough chips in this country to finally get my electric vehicle, I got it and drove it from Michigan to here this last week, and it went by every single gas station. It didn't matter how high it was. So I'm looking forward to the opportunity for us to move to vehicles that aren't going to be dependent on the whims of the oil companies in the international markets. She does not care. She doesn't understand what the normal person goes to, the plebeians, as they would say.
Yeah.
They don't know how it is to live. They're rich. The senators can make so much dang money. They're overpaid. They don't have term limits, which they should. They get paid way too much to be screwing over this country. They don't actually do anything for us. They don't understand what it's like to be a normal person. Most likely, she probably grew up in a rich family, and that their whole thing is if you can't afford the gas, just buy a Tesla. I think the cheapest Tesla is at what, like 50 grand or something like that.
Yeah.
How the heck if someone can't afford $5 gas, how are they gonna afford a 50 grand Tesla? And plus, if everyone, like, let's say a city all went to go to electric rigs, that the power grid couldn't handle everyone charging their car at the same time.
Well, 100%. And another thing too is, I have relatives that live up north in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan and New Hampshire, and it gets very cold up there. What are you going to do when your car gets stuck in the snow and you need heat? I don't know how well these electric cars do on heat, but I know that heating things drains batteries on cars. You know what I'm saying? So it's with a regular car with an engine in it, the heat is a byproduct. It's from the combustion that's happening in the engine. That heat is what is it called? A byproduct that's created. But what was that senator's name?
Was it Debbie Stabenow?
Stabenow. Okay.
Yeah. And it's so funny, you know that Marie Antoinette, she famously was misquoted saying, "Let them eat cake." Now it's just let them buy Teslas. Because if you guys don't know what the "let them eat cake" means, it was when all the French, like, peasants and stuff were starving because they didn't have enough food, and they were all, like, rioting outside the palace, and she was quoted saying, they were like, "Oh, they don't have bread," and she was like, "Just let them eat cake," because she doesn't understand what they're actually going through, and neither do these senators. But actually, Marie Antoinette did not actually say that.
Yeah, exactly. So they're like thinking that's a foreshadowing of what's going to happen, the French Revolution, and that was foreshadowing what's going on, and it's kind of the same thing. So, like you said earlier, this is kind of a tangent about senators being overpaid. So, the average salary for a senator is like $174,000. So that's not that much if you think about it. That's dirt cheap. I think the president's like 400 grand or whatever. And if you look at like the average Democrat or even Republican senators, their net worth is like insane. Like, let's look at what's her name? Pocahontas. What's her name?
Elizabeth Warren.
Yeah, Elizabeth Warren's net worth. Let's see.
Yeah, you got to make sure someone grabs someone who's been. Or you should look up Nancy Pelosi, dude.
But she's in the House of Representatives, isn't she?
Oh yeah, I guess.
But her net worth's $12 million. And I mean, maybe her husband does something else too. But like, I know for a fact Nancy Pelosi's worth millions and millions of dollars. But these people are funded by special interest groups who give them money, lobbyists. So it's like, and a lot of them do the insider trading. So.
Especially Nancy Pelosi. I'm pretty sure, I think it's a Twitter page or some blog or something, but there's someone who created an account that literally follows what Nancy Pelosi trades, like, her stocks and stuff in. So, it's like, if you want to make a lot of money, follow Nancy Pelosi. She has the best financial advice because somehow she knows where, when some things are going to rise or when some things are going to dip. They ought to just not allow senators or representatives or anything like that to be able to trade on the stock market. It's ridiculous. Before all this Russia and Ukraine deal happened, a bunch of senators actually invested a bunch of money into Lockheed Martin. So I mean, you think they knew something was going down, but someone commented on that Stabenow's words, and they said the average cost of an electric car is $56,000. The median household income in Michigan, which is where she was, is $59,234. So that car costs almost as much as someone makes in a year over in Michigan. How the heck are they supposed to afford that?
Well, exactly. And here's the deal.
The famous words.
Exactly. So all these stories, the insider trading, all this stuff, the elites do not care about the collapse of the economic situation for the underlings. Okay, because they don't care. They'll stay rich. It's like in the Great Depression, like the rich people stayed rich. That's what happens. So, plus, I don't know if they're evil or they're just stupid. I don't know,
Both.
but probably. So they're automatically causing the decline of this. So back to the Civil War, throughout history, one of the largest causes or lead ups to a civil war is, which I do not want a civil war. Nobody wants a civil war.
No, we are not inciting anyone to do anything, any violence. We do not want a civil war because it will be very bad if one actually happens.
I have a family. I would rather just go to work. I'd rather figure this out peacefully. I want to. I don't want, to start a civil war. That's just stupid. But you know what? There's a lot of far rights. A lot of people forget we're on the right, but there's a lot of far right people, and there's a lot of far left people who are stupid, they want this because they're I don't know what their deal is, but we do not want that. We do
January 6th was a very stupid thing in my opinion. So stupid. It caused it. It just gave ammo to the friggin' left, and they're still capitalizing off that. Now they're having all those January 6th committee hearings that they're gonna have on TV because with how bad that they're gonna be doing in November, all the surveys are saying. They need the people's focus on something else besides, they need to be like, oh, look how evil the Republicans are. You actually want to vote for them, but it's just the economy, stupid.
Well, exactly. And you know what? It was what? 200, I think, people. No, I mean, maybe the quote's wrong, but it was hardly anyone that actually went into that Capitol building.
It only happened on, it was only happening because I was listening to this podcast, and this guy who was actually there and got in trouble and stuff and like for being there. He said it didn't even happen on his wing of the Capitol building. He said nobody even went into the building. So when he went home, he had no idea like people actually breached it. They got up to the steps and they were told to turn around. So everyone turned around and left. It was only I forgot which wing it was that actually went in, but actually a lot of people that actually went to the Capitol building were allowed in by the police.
Yeah, and it was like on tour. They went and looked around and stuff, took some pictures. So it's not that big of a deal. But so that's the economic standpoint. You can tell it's getting tougher out there. People start to get a lot more antsy. They start to get worried, and when people go hungry, people do some crazy stuff. And like you said, there's the formula shortages. Look at all these chicken farms that are burning down. So the economy is in shambles. And it's continuing to get even worse. Like, it's not slowing down at this point. We're just starting on the downslide, and it's already pretty bad.
You just need to wait for harvest season in fall because we're still eating last year's crops.
Exactly.
I mean, we have a fertilizer shortage, so once fall comes, man, it's gonna get tough out there. But I mean, if you go look through history, one of the a big match or a starter is when women don't have their bread. You go look at the Russian Revolution.
Yep.
It was literally started by the very thing that started it was when women were on strike because they didn't have enough bread. And women are crazy, man. They'll start something over because they're hungry. They can't feed their families. So you don't want women out there protesting that they don't have food because.
Well, it's that motherly instinct. You know what I'm saying? They want it. When mom can't get her kids fed, she will do what she has to do to get her kids fed. And yeah, so that's the economy, guys. That's usually the number one, from what I can understand, reason for civil war or start of civil war. The next thing is cultural values. And so if you look at the culture now, it is so divided. It's getting bad, man. Like I or liberal can't, like, there's nothing we can agree on anymore. Like what can we agree on now? Like what's something where
that the tragedy in Uvalde was very bad on the police's part. That's the only thing that has actually united the left and right.
Yeah, except the left still sucks and wants to take our guns away for zero reason. Why should I lose my right to my firearms when some just crazy person went and shot up a school? Banning guns is not going to change that. There's 400 million guns in this country.
More than people.
Like, if you stop, yeah, exactly. There's, anyways, we have
the they say oh, what's gonna happen if we give up our guns, but you go look in Australia, they don't have their guns anymore, and they literally have concentration camps for people with when the COVID and stuff happened.
Yeah.
They literally would come and knock on your doors, and they're taking you out, and they're gonna go put you in a camp for COVID. Do you want that in America? You want to know why that doesn't happen in America? Because we have so many guns in this country that would never fly if someone knocked on your door. One of those officers are going to come grab you is going to get shot, and that thing is going to be done. That's not going to happen in America. You can't give up your guns. I don't know. The dumbest thing about giving up his guns is with all this Uvalde stuff. You look how incompetent the police officers were there, and so we're supposed to give up our guns and then trust those people to come protect us. The left says about how racist the cops are and stuff like that, and how the cops are out there shooting unarmed black people every day. So why would you want African Americans to be protected by only those people? Wouldn't you want African Americans to actually have guns to protect themselves? If there's racist cops out there shooting them every single day.
Well, that's the thing with the left. They make no sense.
Gun control is racist.
Exactly. The cops are evil, and they're killing unarmed black men. Let's take guns away. It doesn't make any sense. They don't make any sense. That it's very, very rare to find a liberal or leftist who actually has some sense of thought. And I guess you could say the same thing for the right. Like always Trumper people, they're dumb too. Don't get me wrong, but it's coming to the point where people are it's ignorance, okay? That's all they see is they hate you. They hate you. They hate what you stand for. It's like that. Did you see that video of the HR lady?
Yep.
Yeah. The lady was like flipping out like, oh, we're HR. Like we're, what are they? Recruiters for jobs.
Yeah.
She's like, we hate you.
We pay attention to what you post, and with the little power we have, we will make sure that you cannot have a job, or if you have a job, you will get fired, and she ended up getting fired from her job. But the problem with why this country seems so divided is in a peer view poll, for both parties, social media users with relatively moderate views are more reluctant to post about political or social issues. So the people on the further left and right are way more likely to actually express their political views. So if you go look out on social media, you're pretty much only seeing the far right or far left people posting about it. So that's why it always seems like the left's so crazy, but because the moderate left isn't actually posting their views. You're only seeing the far left's views. So I mean, if that's all you're seeing ever, you're gonna think like, holy crap, this country's crazy, man. We're never going to agree on anything.
Well, the thing too is like the balkanization, like that's happening like literally with people moving out of blue states, moving to red states
because of COVID.
Yeah, to get over all these restrictions and stuff. But it's also happening with politics and culture. Politics, my bad. Like people they're leaving the moderate, the center, and they're going far left or far right because that's what they see. That's
what they hear.
Well, but like it's kind of true too, though. Like, what starts if people start to realize that abortion's murder, which I believe it is. We believe it is. You're not going to accept any form of abortion, and the left thinks it's a right to murder your child, so they're not going to be like, they want it. What is it called? Like unregulated abortion 100%. We want like no abortion essentially. And neither of us are really willing to compromise on that. And if we are, the little bit we are, it's not nearly enough to what the other wants. And that's happening with everything. You get the left, and not all leftists, a lot of leftists or liberals, they like guns, but it's happening. Like
true leftists like guns. Karl Marx liked guns.
Exactly. So what happens is you have these people who want no guns. Okay, it's not, we just want to ban this gun. It's they want to ban everything. Whereas once again, we think everything should be legal. Okay, like essentially, like, oh, you think people should be able to get jets and battleships and stuff? Sure, but like, who's actually going to be able to afford that? That's the thing. And Joe Biden's like, you couldn't have a cannon back in the day. That
You
is
could.
such a lie.
What was it? Privateers?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Like, there was no regulation on that. Like, it's so irritating. There wasn't, I think, firearms, what's it called?
Regulation.
Regulations until the 30s when the Tommy gun came out, because it was such a like cheap firearm that people could readily access. Except they had the Gatling guns and machine guns before that, but like people couldn't afford them. So for hundreds and hundreds of years, there was no regulation on firearms, and all of a sudden it comes out and you have Joe Biden straight up lying about it, saying that you couldn't own a cannon. Yes, you could own a cannon. It's stupid. So
And then you have, just to show two extremes of the nation, is that people in California are pushing for like straight up like no regulations on abortion at all. So I mean, you could have this thing like you are on the bed getting ready to to have the baby, and you can suddenly be like, I don't want it anymore, and then they can just kill it right there. And then you have Oklahoma, who just I don't know if it was a proposed bill or if they actually passed. I believe they passed it.
I believe they passed it. Yeah.
Where it's pretty much an outright ban on abortion, except I think there's some cases of like incest and rape. I think that they actually do allow abortion, but other than that, they do not allow it.
Well, these blue states almost like if you have the baby and then all of a sudden you decide you don't want it anymore, you can kill it is almost what they want, or what they make it sound like they want. So, and let's take a look at these, like that Houston, was it in Houston where that bar that Dallas, my bad. There was that, was it a gay bar, I think?
It was called a drag the kids to Pride event at like a drag stripper bar.
Yeah, it was sick. There's little kids. They were giving
They were getting little kids to come dance with them, and they were not just people in dresses. They were in straight up like lingerie stuff,
Yep.
And they were dancing up in front of these. And the parents were there, getting the kids to hand them money, getting the kids to go dance with them, and the whole time behind them was a sign that's in neon pink that said, "It's not gonna lick itself."
That is disgusting.
Groomers. How can you deny that?
You know what? They're going to stop denying it. Okay. They're going to be like that one ad, groom with pride. And like, that's the cultural divide that's widening. Like how can that even be right? So here's what I hope with this cultural divide is that they're a lot louder than they seem to actually be. You know what I'm saying? Like, I hope and I pray that this nastiness is actually only a small part of the American population, and that there's like a silent majority of the left, like center left, you know what I'm saying, to where they know that this stuff is disgusting. Like I say I miss the days of when like liberalism or Democrat and Republican was like finances, mostly taxes and all that crap. And now it's like, to be a Democrat is to just, it's all this nasty transgender, like for kids stuff. And like, kids don't need to know about that stuff. Okay. It's irritating. Okay. Like they don't, I don't know, man.
But that, yeah. So either the divide, because you need a reason to go to Civil War. The divide for the American Civil War was slavery. And so either the one for this, if it potentially happens, it will either be abortion or all this LGBTQ stuff. Something's gonna hit the snap and make people just be like, that's it, I'm done.
And once again, we do not want civil war. We do not advocate for civil war. We hope it doesn't happen. We don't want it to happen. So, the cultural divide, it keeps getting wider on any level. It doesn't matter. Any level. All this, like the gas, renewable energy, stop drilling. We need solar panels and wind power. That's not going to raise or lower gas prices and energy costs. So this goes to economy and cultural values. You have people who would rather plunge us into a state of depression over this climate change issue. What's the point of trying to save the world if you're not going to make it, if the world's not going to make it because you kill everything just trying to, prevent from extra CO2 coming out. So it's just bad, dude. You have people who are so worried about the environment on the left, and on the far right, you have people who do not care at all about the government. So, like, if you look, they're trying to get rid of all the cows because the cows fart too much. And they produce way too much.
Cars? You
No,
said cars.
sorry, cows. They're trying to kill the cow, or they're
The cars fart too much.
well, they're technically saying that too. Voice crack. But anyways, no, the cows fart too much and create too much CO2. So they're trying to look to having insects in Britain as a form of protein because poultry puts out too much CO2. So there's another cultural divide right there with the climate change stuff. So now another reason, or one of the reasons that the Civil War happened back in the 1800s was because of federal versus state power. And if you look at Roe v. Wade, overturning Roe v. Wade does not ban abortions, people. It kicks it down to the states. Okay? And the states can do what they want with it. I do believe in a federal ban of abortions. I don't know how you'd go about doing that, but either way, the left wants to federally enforce your quote unquote right to abortions. Okay? And they're totally, they act like they're tolerant. They're totally intolerant. With the whole pride stuff, they need to make you approve of them, and it's just sick.
Yeah, so the like you were saying about the Roe v. Wade, how it kicks it back to the states. That was the whole point of this country, because you look through history and republics fall, man. It's throughout time once when there's only one big republic, like the Roman Republic, it fell and it turned into something else. And so the founding fathers wanted a different system for it to last longer. So they thought, each state will have its own republic, and maybe that could last longer. But the government's just been sapping up so much power nowadays that it almost seems like the states are worthless. But until COVID, you kind of were able to see the differences between states, and that's why people are moving to Florida, Texas, and all those areas, because state power. The reason why state like what would you say, states
rights?
You could say
maybe?
States' rights. I don't know. Is so important because problems that people over in California deal with are going to be a heck of a lot different from problems that we over here in South Carolina deal with. So why would you want someone in California voicing their opinion and then the federal government's like, I'll change that? But then it's going to negatively affect us. We don't even deal with the same problems. That's why states and stuff, it's a lot easier for you to delegate and stuff with like that. That's happening in a much smaller chunk of land. That's why, states should be able to make their own laws and stuff like that. But, it's so weird. The left is now all about big government and stuff like that, which I don't know. When I was a kid, I always thought the left was more about, hippies and stuff like that, and the right's a bunch of evil corporation people. And now it's the left's all about, massive government, and now the rights are almost like populists now.
Yeah, so the reason why America worked for so long is each state has their own state constitution, and you'd have state rights. You can't take a massive country like this with totally different cultural backgrounds, totally different racial ethnicities and stuff, and have it under one like federal constitution that's supreme and throughout, that everyone has to listen to. And those states' rights are slowly starting to disappear. The liberals, they want marijuana to be free and legal everywhere, and not free as in price, but like you're allowed to smoke weed wherever you want. And if you apply yourself to states' rights, Colorado can go get high as long as they want, but that doesn't mean you need to nationally make weed legal. That's just an example. So another thing too that I was going to say was, I forgot, but essentially the right to keep and bear arms, it needs to be federally protected. Actually, I don't know.
It is. It is protected.
It is.
It's the Second Amendment.
It's under the Constitution.
Shall not be infringed.
Well, they mean well regulated. Well, you know what? I do believe we should be well regulated.
But it's so dumb. I saw this meme where it was like there's like the girls with a time machine. Oh, I'm your granddaughter or something like that. Yep. It was like boys with a time machine. It was like showed like a dude going all the way back to like the founding fathers. It was like write the Second Amendment like you're explaining it to an idiot or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
But so the one of the things where you can see why the left and the right are pushing so far apart, when you look at the statistics, 63% of Republicans believe Democrats are a threat to the country, and 67% of Democrats believe the same about Republicans. And 1 in 5 people approve of assassinating a politician who is harming the country or our democracy. That was done by the Southern Poverty Law Center, which is a liberal firm, but that is still pretty crazy to think about that. I mean, 1 in 5 people believe in political assassinations. That has gone pretty crazy. That, I mean, can you imagine? Like that could be a thing that could almost spark something off. Someone gets assassinated, and I mean, I believe someone was just trying to assassinate like a Supreme Court, wasn't it?
Yeah, some dude from California, Simi Valley, California, took a taxi to Maryland and was found outside Justice Brett Kavanaugh's house, and he said he was gonna try and murder the justice. And dude, that's crazy. Okay, like at this point, like they think it's okay, and you know what? The left didn't explicitly say to go out and kill the Supreme Court justices, but remember that guy tweeted like, theoretically, let's say one of the older justices got killed. Did you ever see that?
Oh, no. It was hypothetically, if you were on a train or something like that, and like one of like the justices was on there, and like if you had the chance to kill him and it would save our country, would you do it or something like that?
Yeah.
And but they were almost, I don't know, the left didn't come out and say to not protest outside of the justice houses, which actually is against the law. I think it was Virginia. I think it was done in. Yeah, and the cops weren't even enforcing the law over there, which you're not supposed to be doing it to, because the whole point why you're not supposed to be able to do it is because you're not supposed to be protesting outside of their house to change their opinions. The whole point of the Supreme Court is just to decide, read the Constitution and decide if the laws or something or their cases go along with the Constitution or not. So I mean, you can't be out there trying to threaten them to make your get your point across.
Yeah, and then back to the abortion argument or the abortion topic. Pro-abortion terrorists firebomb Buffalo pro-life pregnancy center. So this just happened in Buffalo, New York, I believe, and the arsonist left graffiti on the wall that read "Jane was here." The organization has committed multiple such incidents in the last few months, including one in which it was firebombed the headquarters of Wisconsin Family Action, a pro-life group in Madison, Wisconsin, last year. There, the terrorists left the message, "If abortions aren't safe, then you aren't either." So you have pro-abortion terrorists firebombing pro-life birth centers to help people, give birth. Like, that is ridiculous. Okay, like, we are sliding back in time to, like, the 60s, 70s era when this stuff was, like, political assassinations were happening with, like, Robert Kennedy, JFK, MLK. Like, stuff, it's really starting to take off. Like, that's why I believe at some point some sort of civil conflict's going to break out. I hope it doesn't. But if we can't figure out how to correct this, and if the nation doesn't want to figure out how to correct this and change paths, I do feel like at some point a civil conflict's going to kick off.
Well, the problem is that the left always says about how evil and stuff conservatives are. But I mean, can you imagine the media coverage if, I don't know, what's a far right group, the Proud Boys or something like that? It's like was the big in the news. If the Proud Boys went and like destroyed an abortion clinic, you realize that would be like top headline news for how long? But you don't hear anything about how all these pregnancy like centers and stuff are getting destroyed and stuff like that. You don't hear you don't hear a peep. They don't want to cover it because they don't want it to show people how bad their side actually is. They just want to hide it and make it seem like it's the conservatives that are all evil.
Well, that's right. I mean, we did commit the January 6th insurrection.
May 2nd insurrection is when, the leaked SCOTUS decision, but, they don't want to talk about that. Suddenly they just wiped that right under the rug. But, yeah, so Javen, he more feels like this thing will be a full-out civil war. I think it'll be more just some civil unrest with some pockets of aggression in certain, would you say, urban areas. But kind of like the Northern Ireland, what they call the Irish Troubles, which if you don't know about that, then basically how it went down, where there was two sets of people with different cultures, where it was the Protestants and the Catholics in Northern Ireland, which was controlled by, which still is controlled by like Britain and all them, part of the United Kingdom. And was it the Catholics? I believe it was the Catholics who wanted to reunite Northern Ireland with all of the Republic of Ireland
against Protestant
against
England.
Protestants. Yeah, Protestant England, because they were all for the king and stuff like that. And basically, both sides hated each other. Both sides had completely different cultures. Both sides wanted completely different things for their state. And so some little pockets of aggression started up and eventually wound up turning into extremists on both sides started to, coalesce together and start to create groups and stuff like that. And it eventually just erupted into terrorism and assassinations. Paramilitaries were formed to make up the fighting forces, and ended up being 3,600 people killed and 30,000 were wounded. But the Northern Ireland's still there, so they didn't get anything. The UK actually had to end up sending their military over there to stop it. But I think it would be more something like that because, I don't know. I can't actually imagine the entire country just erupting into like an all-out civil war.
I don't think it's possible at this point, or if it does, like, I don't know. But like, let's put it this way: let's say the Northern Ireland type attacks happen. Let's say, our power grid is very, very weak. If some sort of group, left or right, wanted to attack the right city or a left city, let's say they went and just bombed a power grid. Okay, like that is going to be like devastating to a city. You know what I'm saying? Like that right there, like not necessarily people will die, but like with a shooting war anyways, but like just that type of civil unrest, I would put under like a civil war because like people's lives are being impacted hugely. So I recommend get some food, get a generator if you can, like get kind of prepared because at the very least, if you have the food, if your power goes out for a week or something from a tornado, an ice storm or something, it's good to have. But just get prepared, get involved with your politics to try to change what's happening.
Well, one thing that you should really look out for is when this Roe v. Wade decision comes out.
Any minute now.
Yeah, any minute. They normally come out on Monday, so every Monday, normally the press is like waiting, like, oh, is it going to come out today? Because just all the crap that went down with when it got leaked. That wasn't even the decision. Just imagine when the decision comes out. People are going to go ape crap on stuff, and there could be some stuff that goes down right there. You'll see Antifa start rolling out some attacks and stuff, but it won't get covered by the media. As soon as some counter protesters go and some violence erupts, then they'll be right. Oh, conservatives are, destroying peaceful protests against abortion that are pro-choice abortions and crap like that. And then it'll make the problem is when the media they all pander towards one side, and then the right constantly thinks that just everyone's out to get them. You go look at the like surveys and stuff like that. And Republicans' trust in the national news organization has fallen from 70% in 2016 to 35% in 2021. That is a massive drop.
And that's 2021.
Yeah, 2021. This is 2022. Yeah. It's usually gotten worse.
Oh, easily. But yeah, what was I going to say? Yeah. What were you just talking about?
We're talking about when the Roe v. Wade decision comes out eventually.
Yeah, and you know what? When that decision drops, Like, hopefully nothing happens, but I don't know. I expect these pro-life clinics to get more bombed, more this, that, and
Churches,
the other. Yes.
they always go after the Catholics.
Yeah, yep, 100%, because, got to give it to the Catholics. They've been holding on to their values for, 1,000 years, thousands of years. And I think I don't know. The mainstream media might not report it and might not talk about it, but I will guarantee you, we will be talking about that stuff if it happens. We are here to spread the news, the truth, the culture war, man. That's why we're here. And you know what? I hope and I pray that this Roe v. Wade gets overturned. And maybe, since it got leaked, that, people won't go as ballistic. Hopefully they don't go ballistic at all. But, looking at what happened in the 2020 riots, I just don't see how it's not going to go ballistic.
Well, so just when Roe v. Wade, when that actually drops, and most likely if the Republicans actually stick to their guns, so to say, it will get overturned. There's no way they don't actually overturn it, because all respect would be lost for them. You're really going to let a couple protests actually impact your decision. But once that drops, there'll be protests or riots. And then once November comes, if Republicans actually win in a landslide, like every poll says, it'll piss them off even more. People are going to get hungry when fall time comes. There will have a bunch of people that are pissed off about abortion, pissed off because they're hungry and they can't drive anywhere. And then if Republicans start winning and stuff, they'll be even more pissed off. So I mean, it can get pretty bad. And then just wait until presidential elections and stuff like that. I mean, all these different states are doing completely opposite bills and stuff like that. And like when it comes to like abortion and LGBTQ stuff, they're complete opposite. So like, I mean, it's crazy, because it was after a Dallas, Texas, like stripper party, drag the kids to Pride or whatever. Someone in Texas actually said that they're going to introduce a bill where it is illegal for like kids to be involved with any like kind of drag shows or anything. Yeah. And then there was some Democrat politician or something like that.
His last name was Weiner.
Oh yeah, it was Weiner. Was saying that he's gonna have a new bill idea where he's gonna introduce that it was like mandatory, like in schools they have to do something with drag or something
learn
like
about
that.
Drag stuff.
So I mean, just look how crazy the opposite sides of the country are.
Yep.
I mean, how do you come back from that? Both sides think they're evil.
Yeah, and like Ben Franklin said, we have a republic if we can keep it. And that's why I hope that there's a silent majority that's center left or even left. I hope that this is not actually mainstream. I hope this is only 15% of what the left is. Because you know what? The farther left they go, it's almost better in a way, I think, because it'll show how freaking crazy they are. And if they're not that psycho, then you know what? We can dump this crap, and hopefully this is just a fad in the timeline that is America. And yeah, hopefully we can keep this republic.
I mean, okay. Do you think that there is something that can pull us back from this? Be honest.
I don't think so. Like I said, unless it's them being way louder than they actually are. You know what I'm saying? Because let's say it is half of America that's this crazy. What could reunite us? We disagree on everything.
What normally brings people together?
War
with China, Russia.
No, I still don't think it would help.
We were just firing with South Korea. We were just firing missiles to scare North Korea.
Here's the thing: half the sinking politicians in our government, right or left, are like
warmongers.
Well, no, they're paid off by China, or they're sleeping with Chinese agents. Like that one guy got caught, or he was sleeping with an agent. That's the thing. I don't know. I don't know if, yeah, I mean, traditionally war has always unified a country, but when was it the wars against itself? And you know what? Here's another thing that scares me out of civil war, which I don't want, is what if we go to civil war and here comes China in to save the day? I really do think that would happen.
Yeah, they could just if it happens, they could just kind of like who was it? Who was it? Churchill or something like that said when it was Germany and the Soviet Union fighting. He was like, if Germany starts winning, we start giving money to the Soviets, and if the other way, then start giving money to the Germans. Because I mean, I easily could see China just helping out either side, just so we see grind each other down to a nub, and then they can just start rolling in here or something. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's time for the silent majority on the right to not be silent anymore. And that's that simple. Let's make ourselves known, because we can try and avoid all this crap if we just start talking about it. You know what I'm saying?
Don't be scared to speak your mind.
Yeah, or you can be like YouTube, who disabled our account because they didn't even tell us. They said that we violated their community guidelines, but they didn't explain. We got it back, thankfully, but yeah, we had like 17 subscribers at the time, and they're already deleting comments and disabling our Google account. So, we must be doing something right if they're trying to suppress us.
Yeah, you're doing something wrong when the left isn't angry at you.
Exactly. So, I mean, we're trying to explicitly get banned. We definitely don't want to get banned because we want people to hear us. But if it happens, it happens. And I'm not going to change my views on things because they threaten me with banning. I will try not to get banned and try to respect their guidelines. But if they're like, renounce your thoughts on abortion, I'll be like, no, you can ban me. I'm not gonna come out and bow to the altar of the left.
Well, I think that about does it for today. We kind of went a lot longer than we normally do, which I'm sure Javen would actually like to go a lot longer because he loves talking about this kind of stuff. But I mean, we're almost an hour into this, so we're gonna have to wrap it up. But yeah, just tell us in the comments what you think about this civil divide that's going on. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow the show. Spread our channel around. We'll do some grassroots marketing. You guys could help us build if you actually care about us. You probably don't. I don't blame you, man. But yeah, just follow us and let's keep this rolling.
Yeah, and honestly, we want to have conversations. So if you disagree with us on something, in the comments, tell us. Someone had disagreed with us, but they didn't explain why.
Yeah.
Explain why. We'll have a debate. Like, we want to talk about this stuff. We're not trying to just say dumb things and then just leave it at that. Like, let's strike a debate. If you have constructive criticism for how we do things, like
we have an email. I think it's in like everything.
Yeah. So like, if you want to be like, hey, you should record this way or that way, like, tell us. We want to know. We want to be better. We hardly have any idea what we're doing with like recording and stuff.
We just spent like, what was it, like 15 minutes trying to figure out why our mic sounded horrible, and it ended up being that we're just recording with our computer mic, not our actual mics.
Yeah, exactly. And then last week we had a mistake too, and we thought we screwed our whole audio. But yeah, so
scrubs.
Thank you very much, guys, and see you next week.
Bye.